Okay, so we've beaten Seymour again, and this episode is probably going to be a lot of me not talking and me just showing this off. Because anybody who's played this or anybody who's seen footage of this game probably knows what this is. And I will preface this by saying if you're trying to stream this and you don't have a capture card like I do, you're not going to be able to show it. I learned it the hard way. Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy X-2 were the same way, so here we go. I'm
We
going to
escaped
shut
with
up
our
now.
skins intact, but Yuna lost something. I could already tell her faith was shaken. Yevon had betrayed her. I felt like I should do or say something, anything. But nothing came. I was just as lost as she was. And then...
Well?
We're all clear. We will have to avoid Bevel in the future. Yuna,
Said you wanted to be alone.
of course.
Must be tough for... We leave it... If Yuna figures out we're... I feel kind of bad leaving...
Maybe you should talk to...
I always thought that this would be easier somehow. I thought that everyone would help me, with all my friends together beside me. I've been trying so hard.
maybe... you're trying too hard. They told me. Everything.
Everything? Well, so then... you know.
Yeah. I'm sorry. It's just... you know, all those things I said. Like, let's go get Sin, or about Xanarkand. I didn't know what would happen to you, Yuna. I guess... I hope it didn't make you sad. Forgive me.
I wasn't sad. I was happy.
Yuna! Just don't do it.
The pilgrimage?
Yeah. That's right. Forget all about Sin. About being a summoner. Forget all that. You know, live a normal life. Come on now, Yuna, what do you say?
Maybe I will. Wouldn't everyone be surprised?
Yeah. Except Riku. She'd be with you. Lulu and Waka wouldn't hold out long.
Kamari would say yes, too, I know. But Sir Orin...
I'll make him understand, Yuna. It's the least I can do for you.
No, I should tell him. He deserves it. What'll I do if I give up my pilgrimage?
Hey, Xanarkin. Let's go to Xanarkin. Not the one in Spira, the one I'm from. Yeah, we can all fly there. Everyone can go. Then we'll have a big party at my place.
And then we could see Blitzball.
That's right.
Your Xanarkin Abes would play?
Yeah.
We could all watch you play, in a stadium all lit up at night. I'd cheer and cheer till I couldn't cheer anymore.
Yeah, right on.
Well, what about after the game?
We'd go out and have fun.
In the middle of the night?
No problem. Xanarkin never sleeps. Let's go to the sea. Before the sunrise. The city lights go out one by one. The stars fade. Then the horizon glows, almost like it's on fire. It's kinda rose-colored, right? First in the sea, then it spreads to the sky, then to the whole city. It gets brighter and brighter, till everything glows. It's really pretty. I know you'd like it.
I'd like to see it. Someday.
Well, you can, Yuna. We can both go. You...
I can't. I just can't. I can't go.
Yuna.
continue. I must. If I give up now, I could do anything I wanted to. And yet, even if I was with you, I could never forget.
I'll go with you.
What?
I'm your guardian. Unless I'm fired.
Stay with me. Until the end. Please.
Not until the end. Always.
Always then. Maybe you should head back to camp first.
Roger.
Wait. I'll go with you. Sir Orin? Waka? Lulu? Kamari? Riku? Everyone, we leave at dawn. And I'm sorry for putting you through all this. And
Enough. You need your rest.
yes. Good night.
Oh, there we go. So I'm going to save it here, but I'm going to keep the video going to go over this scene and go over a few other things. So this might be a long explanation. But that was probably the most climactic scene in this game so far. And we've had some really good ones. The opening Blitzball one, we've had the Sending, Operation Mihen, the Xanarkand thing, and Guadasalam and the Farplane. There are so many good scenes in this game, and when you consider that they were kind of building up to this, for this to even just come close and then just be like, yeah, this is as good as we wanted it to be. This is as good as anything that we could put together. But it's for a multitude of reasons. And, people may or may not know I've said a few things, good and bad, about Final Fantasy VIII, and one of those things is about the romance. It actually is going to be a sort of like history-based thing here, so this might take a little time. But Final Fantasy does what Final Fantasy does, and a lot of it does revolve around romance. You know, romance is an easy tool to get across. I don't want to say that. Okay, not yet. Romance is an easy tool. I think it's a universal thing. Final Fantasy taps into it quite a bit, to varying degrees, but a majority of the times they do it right. I'm not going to say this is my favorite, but I wouldn't be against saying it, because what this game does, what other games don't do, is it's a slow burn. And that's really where the best romances come along. And I'd say romance in Final Fantasy started in 4. The difference is kind of being that Rosa and Cecil were always together. You had Cain being a little, like, jealous of that fact because he liked Rosa too, but they're still friends, but there's that, like, weird burning rivalry that Rosa always picked Cecil first, and they were together at the beginning of the game, so there wasn't so much to explore there, except, like, Rosa wants her place in the world, Cecil wants to protect her, but Rosa, you know, for a white mage, is like, I can handle myself. Let me handle myself. She's half damsel in distress, half, you know, capable heroine, so it's weird that way. Final Fantasy V didn't really do romance. Final Fantasy VI touched on it quite a bit with the Celeste and Locke thing. What I liked about that was Celeste was hard-boiled, but she slowly understood that Locke was starting to get used to liking her, not as an object of replacement for his former loves or whatever, because he had a ton of grief going into the game and a ton of guilt, and he kind of used Celeste as a stand-in, Terra to a lesser extent. But things like the opera scene and, you know, it keeps building. They don't necessarily say or do anything that says they're together until the ending, but like you could see it coming a mile away, and it's a slow build. 7 is obvious, like Aerith, Tifa, Cloud, they're always kind of neck and neck together, and it's a nice little love triangle thing. 9 does what 10 does. It's a slow burn, but I think it's a little clunky, because Zidane is a bit of a prick and a bit of a womanizer and a dumb fuck, and it doesn't really get across very well, which is really annoying. But still, the idea that they're together and they're slowly building their rapport with each other and getting used to each other, like, you know they're going to get together, it's obvious. That's not the point. The point is, even if it's obvious, do they have chemistry? In Final Fantasy X, they have chemistry. In Final Fantasy VIII, here's where my issues lie, is the game tried to make Squall so much of a loner that he was desperate. There's a difference between falling for somebody and making it work. And it's not Renoa's fault. The game made her an idiot. The writing made Squall the only person to save her and all this shit. She gets put in these dumbass damsel in distress situations by proxy because that's what they've always done. It's supposed to work, I guess. It doesn't. So Squall ends up doing stupid shit to try and save her, and it's like, well, I could have just chosen someone else to fall in love with. And again, that's a mean way of looking at it, but you could see my perspective of saying, somebody else like Quistis was right fucking there. For half the effort it took to bridge this gap between two people that just don't work. And that's what really frustrates me about Final Fantasy VIII and why I don't like it so much is because despite efforts that they make, the central core of the game is Squall and Renoa are destined to be good together, but they don't have any chemistry. And this, you kind of know that they're together, but it's not the main thrust of the narrative. Like, Final Fantasy VIII, you're supposed to save the world like everything else, but the idea is Yuna is off to save the world from sin, and they build the world around them, and Tidus is trying to find his way around it, and oh shit, she's nice looking, that's great. But Yuna's, like, super naive and doesn't know anything, and they just kind of, like, love at first sight kind of thing, but they keep it slow, and they do these, like, little, like, nuggets of information, like the Celeste and Locke thing, or, Cloud and Tifa and Aerith would, I suppose. Garnet in the same way. Garnet and Zidane. That's how it works. They don't ham-fist it into the narrative, and then they throw in that little Seymour red herring to be like, well, dude, this is nuts. Like, you kind of already knew that Yuna and Tidus were going to get together, but they didn't, like, throw it in your face that Tidus had to save her. She had 5 or 6 other people that were trying to save her. That's the difference. The party will tell Tidus, hey, like, you know, maybe you should talk to her and shit. Like, because they know. The difference is they know that they like each other, but they don't press upon you the importance that you have to do something. They just say, look, Auron is the only one that forces you to do that because Auron is the father of the group. He's the grumpy dad or the grumpy uncle, you know. As opposed to, say, Final Fantasy VIII, where every single party member sits there and looks at Squall and says, dude, get off your ass and fall in love with her already. And there's a subtle but unique difference. And that's why I'm happy that Final Fantasy does romance narratives, but they have to do it like this. They have to make me want something. It's an old wrestling trope or a TV trope. It's the idea that you feed a narrative and you respond as you see if what, you know, people are getting into it. And in a game like this, you kind of have to assume that people will go for it rather than, you know, like a wrestling narrative. Like, if it's playing out and nobody likes it, they're like, go away, let's try something different. But you have to understand your audience and think, okay, we're giving you slow anticipation. Like, you can see it coming away. And then they're building the will they, won't they. And then this scene happens and you're like, yeah, I wanted that. And they already give you the great visuals, so you kind of already knew, oh shit, well, if they fall in love together and they start kissing, what is it going to look like? And then the reason this game works so well is they have the improved visuals of the PS2, and then they have the, like, slow panning cameras and the music that just, oh, it's so good. Again, I don't know if this is the best romance narrative that Final Fantasy's done, but because of what they're able to do with the technology and the fact that they themselves purposely gave you, like, little nuggets of information that both of them liked each other, you kind of wanted it, or at least the game fed you into it slowly and gave you a chance to process it. If you don't like them, that's fine, but I think of this as a, like, it's an obvious narrative, but I think that they themselves work well off each other, that they both want to see each other and happy, because Tidus is the outsider trying to ensure Yuna doesn't, like, stay naive. Yuna is seeing the world, like, collapse around her because, you know, this religion she's grown up believing is shit. So this outsider is giving her a new perspective on things, and it's like, well, the rest of the party's kind of along for the ride. They don't force it, they just kind of react to it, and it's nice. It's a subdued but forceful subversion of the romance, and they don't, like, they don't ham-fist it. And now that we've seen it, And now we've seen it in a really splendid looking ass cutscene. It's just like, that's what I wanted. It's payoff. Because if you build something and you know how it's going to end and you stick the landing, it makes a huge difference. But that was a bit of a digression, but that's my feelings on the episode. I'm going to save here. And we'll get to the Calm Lands next time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the cutscene and my discussion of it. See you guys next time.